Hey up. One of the key features of the Bielsa era has been the improvement of Leeds United's academy. Firstly under Carlos Corberan and now under Jacko, Mark Jackson. So this is what we talk about on the Youth Pod. So welcome back. It's the Roaring Peacock LUFC Youth Pod. My name's Adonis. You know me as @the_Adelites on Twitter. It's a very good hello from me. Joining us to discuss the West Ham game and the Tranmere game and a bit of a preview of Liverpool is from LUFCAcademyCentral.com, Matty Ingham.
Hello, lads.
Hello, and Juicy himself, the Juicy Rob.
Afternoon, everybody.
Okay, one place to start then. Leeds United under-23s 2, West Ham United under-23s 2. First thoughts?
Yeah, a good point. I think we probably would have took a point before the game. West Ham had started really well. Absolutely hammered Arsenal 6-1 on the opening day. They beat Chelsea 2-1, and then they lost against Brighton, but Brighton top of the league, so you know, a fair defeat to take really. So yeah, West Ham very good academy, big powerful team, some very dangerous attacking players, a lot of pace out wide, strong in the middle of the park and strong at the back as well. So you know, 2-2 draw. Probably I think it was a fair result. Obviously Greenwood have started really well with 3 goals, and Max Dean got the other goal, didn't he? I mean, we love a bit of Max Dean, don't we, on this podcast? So yeah, a good point.
Yeah, I'd back that up. I think it was a fantastic result, really. You look at West Ham's quality and strength in their youth department. Their 21s beat Ipswich last night in the Pizza Cup, which obviously our lads we'll talk about later failed to do against a league opposition. But no, they're a good quality throughout their youth academies, West Ham, and I think 2-2 was a fair result. The game was decent as well. It was an entertaining watch. I thought it was evenly matched. I read something very interesting on @Focus on Leeds on Twitter. Sometimes that account is really good for insightful, tactical, like balancing out.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. I didn't mean that. I mean, sometimes the account tweets out tactical analysis, and it was really good. And they tweeted out, I don't know who runs the account, but they tweeted out about West Ham usually lining up 4-2-3-1, but they switched to a 3-4-3. Which meant that Mark Jackson had switched our formation to 4-4-2 rather than the normal position we play with the one up top. So because we countered that, I thought it worked really well. And Lewis Bate really impressed me in his performance against West Ham. I thought it was a good result. Good performance from Bate. And like Matty said, Greenwood started well. Decent point.
Yeah, I thought the West Ham goals, like the first one came from a dubious free kick, and that kind of got them back into the game.
Yeah,
and then
a frustrating one, that free kick.
Yeah, because it wasn't.
If you actually watch it, he's give the foul. I was told that the referee explained the decision afterwards, and he said he'd given the foul for like the initial. There was like a shirt pull, but it was like 10 yards back, because the actual tackle from McCarran, where the free kick ends up being taken from, the tackle from McCarran is not the foul. Like the foul that the referee gave was like a shirt pull, which is like 10 yards back, but the lad has still been allowed to take the free kick from like just outside the box where McCarran had put a fair tackle in. Obviously, a great free kick, he smashed it in the top corner, but that's a really frustrating one. And then the other goal, a free header from a set piece, not good enough really. Avoidable. Conceded 2 more goals from set pieces last night as well. And you know, initially my thoughts when I saw that we'd given away 2 goals from. I know we'll talk about Tranmere a bit more in detail later on, but the set pieces last night were not good enough either, and it seems to be a little bit of a problem. I think it's when we're missing Creswell, because Cressy obviously went off at half time against West Ham. Yeah. And that's when we conceded the goal from the free kick. I think he's not only just a big physical presence that wins the headers himself, but you know, we know he's a leader and he's an organiser. But yeah, I think we just need to take a bit more charge from set pieces, because it seems to be a bit of a weakness at the minute, and you can't afford to be giving people free headers 6 yards out.
No. I put McKinstry and Dean looked really good. They were working well together, linking up play. Dean,
I would agree.
Feisty as ever. He looks like a real poacher. I've been really impressed with him this season so far.
McKinstry was really good at supporting in the possession play as well, because we dominated possession, didn't we? I think the statistic was something like 60+% again for the full 90 minutes. So when we'd got the ball, I like McKinstry's efforts in order to create triangles and space, even just the simple 1-2 passes, the similar kind of passes that sometimes Phillips gets ridiculed for by opposition fans. Oh, he can only pass sideways or backwards. But it's patience on the ball, which then creates the space to create the opportunities. And I think it was, I agree with you, Donny. I think him and Dean looked really sharp, especially when we had possession but weren't threatening, when they were dropping deeper or we were kind of trying to build up to that attacking play. It was impressive to see. But yeah, Matty's touched on it there. As soon as Cresswell came off, we looked suspect at defending set pieces.
Sideways and backwards passes can be a little bit underrated or underestimated.
Agreed.
Maybe there was a beautiful one from Lingard last night.
Yeah,
lovely back pass. So any more on Leeds 2, West Ham 2?
No, I just think a good point. Just to summarise it, just a good point against a very good academy, an entertaining game. You know, on another day we probably could have got 3 points, but you know they also had chances. Klassen made 2 good saves in the first half, and then their keeper made 2 good saves right at the end. Tipped Kenner's headed onto the bar, and then made a really good sort of close range save from Dean as well. So you know,
it leaves us in a good place. We're not in a good start to the season. 6-6, so we're top 6, 7 points. We're only 3 points off the top. Obviously, we were, I think, before the season started on the first pod of the new season, we said, or I think me and Matty said at least, aim for that mid-table position, consolidate, come up, consolidate, a bit like what the first team did last year. And I think it's been a good start. Just slightly concerned, I think, as Mark Jackson's openly said in interviews, about the leakiness of the defence compared to some positions last year where we were able to shore it up a bit more. We've conceded 9 goals, which is the third highest in the league already. But no, good position and comfortable point, and move on from it.
I think on the early signs would probably be a little bit higher than mid-table, and we're not being underestimated either. So it's going to be a tough season. It's going to be an exciting season. But I think West Ham's manager said it himself before the game that he sees us as one of the top 3 teams in the league. So if teams are approaching us and thinking that, we're obviously doing some things right, and we're going to be in for some big tests. Liverpool on Sunday, obviously another big test. I know it's a big cliche, but there is no easy games in that division. Some top talent at every academy. So, it's what we obviously want. It's what the club wanted when they achieved Category 1 status. It's what we expected when we got promoted. But yeah, we've started well, and we will more than hold our own. I've no doubt about it.
It's where we need to be as well. If those players are wanting to develop and kick on for the first team, that's the kind of experience they're going to need as young men, young boys, to be able to play against this quality of opposition, because some of these 23 sides in that division are no joke. And when players are rehabbing as the season kicks on, and other clubs like Man City's or your Liverpool's, your West Ham's, they're dropping first 11 players down to rehab them back up for fitness. We're going to have some, like you said, Matty, some really tough tests in this league. And I think it'll be a proper, exciting, interesting development of see how the season goes.
Matty, has Klassen impressed you so far? I didn't get your opinion earlier in the season.
Yeah, I think he looks solid. Obviously areas to improve, but a young goalkeeper, it's difficult. Come to a new country, it's difficult. Doesn't really know his teammates yet. Obviously all these things make it more difficult, but yeah, I don't think he's not really made any major mistakes, has he? Couple of good saves, like I say, against West Ham. Penalty save on the opening day against Crystal Palace. Yeah, I think he looks all right. Whether I'd have confidence in him stepping up if Melia got injured, that's a different thing. So we just have to hope that doesn't happen. But yeah, I think Klassen started off well, and obviously we'll get better, like we've seen with Melia, like we saw with Capriel. So yeah, I think he'll get better, and definitely not worried about him in the slightest in the 23s.
Were you surprised that Capriel was loaned out, Matty? Because I was.
No, I don't think so. I expected Capriel to go out, especially when we brought in the young lad from Bradford City, that on bang. So he's going to be in the 18s. Van der Heuvel was always going to step up to the 23s.
Yep.
Klassen obviously came in, and he was going to need game time in the 23s because he's not going to be number one. So, that'd leave, if Caprile stayed, that'd leave you like Van der Heuvel, Klaassen, Caprile, and you can't really balance game time for 3 goalkeepers.
No, but what I was thinking was more keep hold of Caprile for the 23s and Van der Heuvel go out on loan.
I think Van der Heuvel's only 18, isn't he? I mean, I know Caprile's only 1 year older, but Caprile's had that 1 year in the 23s. Similar to like what we saw with Gotts, McCallum, that just seems to be the model. It's like you have a year in the 23s, you learn the system, you learn the style of play, and then if you're not touching first team, you go out on loan. So Van der Heuvel now needs that under 23 experience, and then next season he might go out on loan, and then like Ombang or Christie, they might step up to the 23s on a more permanent basis. So yeah, it just seems to be the model, to be honest. I think it made more sense for Caprile to go out on loan, having had that year in the 23s already, than it would have for Van der Heuvel, because he'd have been starting almost from scratch, wouldn't he? If Van der Heuvel went out on loan and then came back next season, he'd then be a year older and still have had no under 23 experience. So I think it did make sense for Caprile to be the one to go out on loan.
Fair play.
Okay. If you're watching on in somewhere where you can write some comments, please feel free to say hello. Moving on then, the international break, and one game in particular. England under 20s 6, Romania under 20s 1. And after the 12th minute, Joffy was brought on, and so we had 4 players on the pitch. Rob?
Yeah, outstanding. It was one that I actually watched develop on Twitter. I didn't unfortunately get to see it live. I was watching the commentary come through, and I watched all the goals back after and everything. But yeah, what an impressive international break for the young contingency of Leeds. We mentioned it in the pod that we did before the break about all the call-ups across the various different, not just for England, but for the international players. We mentioned all the different squads that people have been called up to from the 17s, the 18s, 20s, 21s. It's really, really exciting. And without getting too excited, there's a bit of realism needed. Some of these players, as we spoke about before, aren't going to potentially break through into the first 11 at a Premier League club. But it's good to know that the quality of player in the academies is international standard across all levels. But that particular game, yeah, I mean, what performance from Joffy. Came on the 12th minute, didn't he? And really made a case for starting the next few games with his goal tally, his performance, his attitude. He, I thought the performance from the whole first 11, the whole 11 was good. But what a day for Joffy and what a day for England under 20s.
Matty?
Yeah, pretty much just echo everything Rob just said. I think it reflects really well on the club. The most represented team in the most represented club in the under 20 team. Jesus, if I can speak. But yeah, obviously reflects really well on the club and the academy and the great work that the coaches have done. But yeah, what a day for Joffy on his debut as well. So it's just about that progression now. It's another achievement for him, and now he'll have his sights set on getting into the under 21s as well. So yeah, obviously a great day for the club and a great day for Joffy as well.
Okay, so a few people in the chat then. Nora, it's been a while. She hasn't been too well, so if you could send her your well wishes, that would be appreciated.
Get well soon, Nora.
Charlie Wilkinson as well says hello, and he says, we've given a great account of ourselves so far this season. Even the 21s last night played really well, despite the scoreline. So that's a nice little segue then onto Tranmere. Matty?
Oh, have we lost him? I think we lost him.
Didn't manage.
To Matty, I thought I was frozen then. I was like...
Matty is frozen, seems like. We'll go with you, Rob.
It wouldn't be a podcast without losing me, would it?
That's true.
That's true. Are you back?
We'll give Matty a couple of minutes to
sort himself out. Yeah, I mean, the second half performance was better than the first half performance, I felt anyway, last night. I watched the majority of it through the stream, and the young lads there did themselves proud in terms of their effort and attainments, and I think that was echoed by the manager from the opposition. He came out after the game and said you could see the way they'd set up to play. You could see the type of football that they wanted to play, and they weren't going to be deterred from playing that football, which we weren't. In terms of, again, possession stats, we dominated 60+% possession. We actually had 19 shots, total shots on goal. So the performance was there. There was just questions around the defending. I thought the first 20 minutes, maybe we looked really like deers in headlights, but once it settled down, the lads did a good account of themselves, and what a young squad as well to go out there and take the mantle. You had a smattering of the 23s in there, but like the players we've brought in, like McGurk, players like that put out a good performance, and then your stalwarts that we talk about sort of in the 23s regularly on this podcast, such as your Charlie Allens, your Max Deans, your Noah Kenners. I thought they all had decent games, but just before we came live, I know you were watching the replay. What about that kind of turn for the setup for the goal for Miller by Archie Gray? Wow, that was a little flash of brilliance, wasn't it?
Yeah, some player is Archie Gray. By all accounts, Matty was saying just before we came on air that a lot of people have sort of heard about him even from 3 years ago when he was 12. Matty, are you back? Deadly silence.
I don't know. I can hear you, but it's just very laggy.
Okay. Well, speak whenever you can, Matty.
Yeah, it's good to see last night. I think we made a good account of ourselves, and that's all you can ask for, really. I don't think anyone would have expected us to go and win the game. So to just make a good account of ourselves, to stick to our principles, like Tranmere's coach identified as well. And then obviously a massive positive was Archie Gray, 15 years old, to play how he did is absolutely ridiculous. Demanding the ball, getting about the pitch, not shirking any physical battle with senior pros. Saw one incredible stat that said the centre back is it Peter Clark, I think his name is. He'd already played like 25 senior appearances before Gray was born. Like that, just mental. And you could see him, not, like I say, not shirking any physical battles. There was one bit he sort of got his back to the defender, pinned him, like type of thing like Lukaku does, like what senior seasoned pros do, like getting his body in positions where he can turn and getting his body in between the ball and the marker and turning and bullying players that are like twice his age. I just think it's mental. Obviously, we stress this a lot when we talk about young players. I think especially for sort of from under 18 and below, there is a certain expectation on Somerville, Greenwood, Joffrey, Drama, players like that, and they need to handle that expectation. But I think from players like under 18 and below, and that definitely applies to Archie Gray at 15 years old, there is no expectation on him. We just need to give him time to develop. He's not one of them players. He's not someone that you're going to be going, yes, get him in the 23s now, like get him in the first team. Like it's not the case. He needs time to develop, and if he keeps developing at that rate, by how good he is at just 15, it's quite exciting. But yeah, like I said, just needs to keep his feet on the ground, and the fans need to sort of manage that expectation that the club will try and do. But yeah, last night obviously will have been some experience for him and a great sign of things to come, hopefully.
Okay, Liverpool then. Can have a little a preview of the next under 23s game, so that'll be on Sunday, is it, Rob?
Yeah, I'm actually just looking for the fixtures now because I don't know the kickoff time, and I normally like to be prepared to be able to say, it kicks off at 1 second. Yeah, it's on Sunday at 2 o'clock. It is 2 o'clock. It is. I'm just having a look at the stats there. So yeah, 2 o'clock away. I don't know. I think we've got a fair chance. Obviously, naturally, with what's just happened in the recent first 11 fixtures, there'll be a bit of hoopla about it, no doubt, on socials by sort of local journalists and blue tick media on socials. But I think as a game plan, we'll just be going out there to do what we can. They've had a similar start to us, except they've had an additional draw compared to the victory we've had. So they're currently sitting 2 points behind us in the league. I think it'll be an exciting game. It should be, in theory, a strong squad from Mark Jackson, because obviously we're playing on the Friday night for the first 11. So I would imagine it will be a strong 23 squad with the guys back from international break, the guys obviously with no cup fixtures happening. maybe with an eye towards Fulham away. But I also think that Bielsa will put a strong side out against against Fulham in the Carabao. So, yeah, I'm hoping for a strong team. I'm hoping for a good performance. And listen, 3 points away at Liverpool would be fantastic. And I think it's achievable. If Joffrey's firing, if Greenwood's playing, and we've got that breadth, I don't think we've got any injury concerns. So in terms of a preview, I'm hoping that we can put a strong first 11 out, and I think we should be able to nick it. I think it'll be a tight game. I think it might be a 2-1 or a 1-0 sort of type game. I think it'll be quite a tense affair, but they've started similar to what we have. I can't see why we can't go and get the 3 points.
Matty?
Yeah, I think we've already, like I said about what West Ham's manager said, so there's a side to be sort of feared in this division. So I think Liverpool will respect that. But it's obviously going to be a very good game. They've got some very good players. Started with 2 draws, 1 win and 1 loss, but they've played some top teams so far as well. They've played 0-0 against Manchester City, 1-1 against Brighton. They're the top 2 teams in the division. Both got 10 points from 4 games. And then they beat Everton 3-1. And the latest result, they lost 2-1 against Spurs. Obviously, we've seen what Spurs can do. Got some very talented players, some very clinical finishers. So, yeah, they've played 4 top teams so far and come away with 5 points. So, a very respectable start. But we'll provide another tough test for them, hopefully. Like Rob says, hopefully it's a strong team and we can go there and win, because I definitely think that our full-strength 23s can beat anyone in this division.
I presume this is on LUTV, is it? Or they all used to be on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter, but it's LUTV now, I guess.
I don't know if they get. Yeah, I think so. It's selected games, so I think because it's away, I should know how it works, but I think Liverpool have the choice over it. So Liverpool do have LFC TV, so they might choose to just take ownership of that game, and LUTV won't be able to stream it. But I really don't know the crack yet, to be honest.
Okay,
well, Crystal Palace.
Stay tuned to LUFC Academy Central for an update as soon as possible. Now we've just heard this morning that Strauch will be banned. Obviously, Cox out. Way. So. And Llorente's injured as well. So probably we've got one centre back in the club captain. Aside from that, people might be wondering about Charlie Creswell. Now I know you put out a tweet, Rob, that's received some backlash that you would play Creswell. So maybe we could talk about some of the potential backup centre backs.
The reason why I play Cresswell, and it comes down to twofold. One is he's an actual centre back. He can play that position well and command it. Yes, it's a big ask to throw him in, as people keep kind of pointing out to me, against a team like Newcastle in that kind of high pressure environment of the Premier League. But he's got to make that step up at some point. We assume we want, just like Strauch did. We had a similar situation when injuries led to Strauch getting a chance, and look what's happened with him. For me, I would put Cresswell next to Cooper, and I would leave Ayling at right back. And the reason for that second fold, apart from the fact Cresswell is a centre back, and I think he'd be up to the task, is Ayling's confidence is through the floor. He was so sloppy against Liverpool. His head's not in it. And if we put him into centre back position, I can see more than one mistake in him. I can see a penalty. I can see something happening where he loses his head. He doesn't look comfortable this season. So therefore, I personally would have Dramé on the bench. I'd have Shackleton in position ready, so that if Cresswell looks too out of depth come half time, you could then do that change and put Ayling in centre back, Dramé, Shackleton, Dallas, move them to right, and you can jigsaw it around whichever way you feel, click into midfield and so on. But yeah, for me to start with, I think the least impact on the team, the least impact on the dynamic of how we play and how we probably want to play and set up against Newcastle, I would just put Cresswell in next to Cooper, and I'd have them training together all week. Obviously, there's not that many days left now before Friday, but that would be my preferential, rather than putting Ayling at centre back and then having Shackleton or Dallas step in at right back, where it will change the dynamic of how we play too much. That's just my 10 pence. I think give Cresswell a shot.
Matty, off air, you were saying that you would pick Cresswell as well. Can you maybe tell us why you came to that choice?
He will tell us eventually. He just tends to go quiet for a while. He's right.
Let's just do a few chats, and then I'll get your opinion on that, Rob.
No worries.
Bandy says we don't have any centre backs for Friday. It's a bit harsh on the innkeeper. Nora laughing at he's a natural centre back. That's the reason. One of the reasons why you.
He's the main reason he's a natural centre back.
Play Cresswell. What's impressed you, Rob, about Charlie Cresswell? What are the qualities that make you think that he could make that step up?
He's vocal. He's not afraid to say his opinion about what he thinks his fellow players across the back line are doing. We spoke about it last season, watching him more week in, week out, in the fact that he seems to be a natural leader in that role, and what you would consider a traditional centre-back. He's strong in the air. He can defend set pieces, crosses and corners. Okay, yeah, there's a difference between, for example, under 23 size men and obviously fully grown, if Callum Wilson or someone's launching himself out more, John Joe Shelby, there'd be a difference in physicality and strength. But he's a big lad, Cresswell. He's not he's not thin, he's not frail, he's not going to get pushed off the ball like an Ian Poveda. So, I think definitely his vocality, his leadership abilities, and the fact that we're going to have balls whipped into the mixer, and he's a big lad that can defend that. You got Ayling flopping around, obviously in the 6-yard box, and I'm not too sure with where his head's at the minute. And I know he's covered that position before. Someone on Twitter rightly pointed out to me he's played that position. Ayling's played centre back before. I know that. I'm just saying that where he is right now with his headspace and how kind of poor I think Ayling started this season, without being too critical of him, I would leave him at right back, where he's going to need that. To build his confidence again at playing at that right back position. Leave him at right back. That's where he likes to play. That's where he's good at playing. And I've never been convinced of him as a centre half. I know he's done it before. Put Cresswell in. I think Cresswell can do a job. That's my propaganda for Cresswell out the way.
Ryan Chadwick says Juicy should go centre back. There you go.
Oh, hi, Ryan.
Bandy says would Bielsa use James as a right back? Pillar feet Harrison. That would definitely boil some piss, wouldn't it?
100%.
Our record transfer being shoved in at right back. Matty, you're back.
I'm back. My internet is an absolute shambles. I'm so sorry. If someone wants to sponsor me for some better internet, then that would be much appreciated.
Right.
Just a thought on the Newcastle game. Not only could you put Cresswell in, could you put Ayling in? It could be both, because Newcastle do play 4-4-2 a lot. So we will be 3-3-1-3. So yeah, it could be sort of Dallas right wing back, Ayling right centre back, Cresswell centre, Cooper left, and then Firpo left wing back. I think that'd be a good setup. So yeah, I think we could see Cresswell. I personally would put Cresswell in. I think he's better in the air again than Ayling. Yes, he doesn't have the experience. But yeah, better in the air, and we're going to have to defend set pieces and crosses well against Newcastle. So yeah, for me, I would put Cresswell in. It's a shame that the Fulham game isn't first, because I think he will almost definitely play against Fulham. Strike will be missing for that as well. Presume Llorente will be back. Koch, I don't think, will be back. So yeah, I think Cresswell Cooper will almost definitely start against Fulham. But yeah, it's a bit of a shame that game's not first, because it is a big ask to throw Cressy in quite a big game. Obviously we don't want to overreact with 4 games into the season, but we don't have a win, and Newcastle, if we don't improve and Newcastle don't improve, we're going to be there or there. We're going to be around about them at the end of the season. It's just realistic. So yeah, we do have to win. We have to win against Newcastle, and it is a big ask to throw Cressy in. But like I say, I think he's up to it. So yeah, I would play him. But yeah, I think it could be him and Ayling as a back three against Newcastle because they do play 4-4-2. I think they're set up with sort of a 5-3-2 against Man United, maybe like a 5-4-1. But I think against us it'll be a 4-4-2 or a 5-3-2. At least it'll be two up front either way. So we'll have three centre backs on the pitch, whether that's Ayling.
I haven't got three centre backs at the club. I'm kidding.
Well, I know it's gonna have to. If it's a three at the back,
it will be Cresswell, Ayling, and
yeah.
Cooper, yeah.
If it's a three at the back, I can't think of any other option, to be honest, unless he drops Phillips back there, which we did in the Championship, but I certainly wouldn't be doing that in the Premier League. I think we need Phillips in midfield.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Ayling, Cresswell, Cooper. I'd have faith in that back three. I think against Newcastle.
Who's next in line? Trying to get some sort of succession lineage here. If we lose another centre back, who is next in the pecking order after Cresswell?
When Cooper's suspended in 2 games, 3 yellow cards after 4 games. Goodness me.
It will be, yeah.
Well, Strike will obviously be back in 3 games' time for when Cooper's inevitably banned for 5 yellow cards after 6 games. But I think
it'd be the new lad, wouldn't it? It'd be Helder.
I was thinking that, yeah. I was thinking probably Helder already.
It'd be the new lad. There's no one really because of what we've done with the transfers with Casey and everyone. Or you'd ask McCarran to slide in. But
yeah, McCarran seems to be pushing for that left back slot. And then obviously you've got Ayling that can cover there. I think before you put any of the centre backs in, so you're looking at Helder, who's been at the club less than a month, then sort of Chris Moore and Kenner probably on a par together at the minute. But I think before you put any of those 3 in, you'd put Drameh at right back, or you'd put Dallas at right back, or Shackleton at right back. So there are a lot of options before you just throwing lads in that are clearly not ready. Whereas I think Cresswell probably is ready.
Here's a question for you, Matty, and for Donny as well. I'm interested in Donny's opinion on this. If you're talking about centre backs, pure centre backs, without saying, Ayling's going to step in, and then we've got obviously Shackleton that could play there, or you could drop. What would be your order? Who do you think are, like, in terms of ranked? I don't mind going first, but in terms of the centre backs that we've got when we have got everyone fit and available, which centre back pairing is it? Because this divides opinion, doesn't it? So which centre back pairing do you think is our strongest with everyone fully fit? Mine.
For me.
Go on, you go first. You go first. No, you go first.
Okay.
I want Donny's opinion as well.
For me, my first choice pairing is definitely Llorente and Strike. Absolutely no doubt about it. Then it's sort of Koch and Cooper. I know Cooper's a club captain. I don't have anything against Cooper. I just think Strike's a better player. And Llorente is obviously head and shoulders above anybody else at the club. I think it's a real shame about his injury record because I think he's genuinely a top 4 Premier League centre back. I think you look at the centre backs that Chelsea have got. I know they defend well. Chelsea, they're an organised unit. By no means do they have a bad defence. I just mean individually, Llorente is better than a lot of the Chelsea centre backs. I think. Just my opinion. But yeah, big fan of Llorente, big fan of Strike. So them 2 for me. Then it's Koch and Cooper. Then it's Cresswell. Then it's Helder, Moore, Kenner, like I've down
the pecking order.
Yep. Very difficult to disagree with. I remember when we bought Llorente, and I was reading a column by Guillem Balag, and he was sort of saying that he was considered the 3rd best centre back in La Liga when he's fit, and. Yeah, that's just the unfortunate thing, isn't it? He's had so many injuries, but we didn't really see how good he was until I think Chelsea at home, and interestingly, Chelsea away was the kind of the time when I was like, "Oh, who is this guy? Is he really that good?" He was getting catcalled by the Cockneys, and it just didn't seem to be working for him. Sort of underperforming in the middle of lots of injuries. But we've seen how good he is now, and that was part of the problem at the first half of last season as well. We had lots of centre backs out, and the defence was constantly shifting, and we were just shipping goals like crazy, and it's happened again. So yeah.
No, I was about to say it's boring when we all agree, but in this case, we do all kind of agree. I think the same with me and Matty saying we'd put Cresswell in on Friday. There is a succession line. I think you can see it, and for me, it's Llorente, Struijk, Cooper, Koch as a backup centre back and backup centre CDM, and then Cresswell. And we spoke about it before. I think if you're looking at that linear progression, then it makes sense to put Cresswell in on Friday. I understand the reservations why people wouldn't want that, and Ayling's been a good deputiser. It's unlikely we'll see Cresswell, like I agree with Matty, unless we play the three. If Newcastle go 2 up front, we'll see him. I think it'll be him, Cooper and Ayling. But if not, I do think he'll move Ayling across. I think we'll see then Tranmere go onto the bench, and then we'd see Shackleton or Dallas at right back with Click coming into centre mid. I think the jigsaw, you don't even have to sort of be in Bielsa's inner circle to see what he does with those positional players, because it's happened so often that we've seen since Bielsa's been here. But I really would like to see Cresswell get a chance, because I do think longer term, him and Struijk, with the injury record that Koch and Llorente are showing at the minute, I do see Cresswell and Struijk as the future centre-back pairing for a couple of seasons' time. We
look a lot better as the three at the back as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, and if you just look at Struijk, like that last minute, that last second ditch tackle to block that shot from Salah.
Yeah.
I mean,
that was incredible.
I love Cooper, don't get me wrong, I love him, but I don't see him doing that. The only other player I could see doing that would be Llorente. So, I mean, just on the potential alone, I think Struijk is going to be a really, really top centre-back. You look at his attacking potential from corners as well. It's just so good. And we would never know this unless we had those injuries and there was an opportunity for him to come in. So
correct.
I think we can all agree that, maybe it's not the best circumstances or the right timing for Cresswell to be given a chance and make that step up. But it's often in these kinds of cases where you have a few injuries, you have a couple of suspensions, and then there's the opportunity, and it's really up to that player whether they take it or not. He's got all the skills, hasn't he? I mean, we've watched him for the last couple of seasons now, and he's been captaining the under-23, so you can tell what those group of players and the staff think of him. So give him a go.
Definitely.
Okay, is that it? Final thoughts maybe on the season so far for the under-23s?
Yeah, a good start, a solid start. Will be we won't be anywhere near the bottom, definitely. And that was obviously like the first team last season. Whenever you go up a division, no matter what it is, no matter if it's League 2 to League 1, Championship to Premier League, youth football, it needs to you need to just consolidate in that first season. But we'll be nowhere near the bottom, guarantee that. Like me and Rob said before the season, sort of looking at that midway point. But I think on early signs we'll be even above that as well. And like West Ham's manager said, he sees us as one of the top 3. So it's promising early on, and a good point against West Ham, a decent showing against Tranmere from a young side, and then we look ahead to Liverpool now, which I think we can go and take 3 points definitely.
Okay, Rob.
There is nothing more to say. I will echo the exact same sentiments. Good performance by the lads last night. Really impressive against Tranmere. Didn't do anyone any disjustice with their performance, the possession, the passing, the shots on target against league football players. Really impressed with the 21s last night. And yeah, the 23s, solid start. Let's kick on and consolidate and look forward to some exciting games. I think there'll be a couple of games that we give teams a proper thrashing this year, but likewise, we are capable just at any level of shipping goals, especially from set pieces. So I think that it could happen the other way. But I do think there'll be a couple of statement performances, especially around that time when the fixtures start getting congested. I genuinely think our fitness levels and our ability to vertically integrate our 18s, 21s and 23s will kick in again like it did last year in the PL2 Div 2. And we'll come out stronger than some of the teams that don't really have that fluidity amongst their development teams.
Okay, and a few comments then. McAllister Bishop says, Cock will be fit for Friday. You watch, lads.
Big ask.
Well, certainly hope so. I like your positivity anyway. Nora says, I think we should really...
Or does he mean his
cup? Just watch it.
His cup will be for Friday.
Nora says, I think we should really give some from the under-23s a chance instead of keep playing some of the players who haven't shown the quality we need. Couldn't agree more, Nora. Bandy says, I agree with the chap in the middle about Ayling. I think that's you, Rob. I think you're in the middle.
Who's in the middle?
It's you. People keep agreeing with you.
The man in the middle.
God. Has everyone been drinking today? Is it a bank holiday or something? People don't normally agree with me.
Bandy says, I don't know about you boys, but I'm terrified about Friday. I wouldn't go so far as to say terrified, but I definitely wouldn't want to lose to Steve Bruce's Newcastle.
No.
Oh yeah, I'm not terrified. It's too early to be terrified. Played 4 games, I need to bit of perspective. I think had a few injuries.
Bit nervy, though, isn't it, Matty?
It's just
honest.
Oh yeah, I'm nervous.
You're a bit nervous.
I'm a bit nervous. No, I think if we lose, obviously it depends on the performance as well, and if you lose, it depends on the manner that you lose. But it's too early to be worried. Even though if we get beat, we'll be a little bit nervy and think start questioning where we're actually at and what the expectations can be for the season. If you start your first 5 games without a win, especially when you played Newcastle, Burnley, teams like that, and you've not won a game yet. But those 2 games are both away from home as well, so it's difficult. We've had 2 what I would class as write-off fixtures. Liverpool and Manchester United, never going to be able to compete with them after just 1 season in the Premier League. So those results are not worrying. Did okay against Everton, did okay against Burnley. So yeah, it's definitely no grounds for a meltdown just yet. Although Leeds fans do love a meltdown.
Second half against Everton is the benchmark so far. I think that's where we should be aiming for. I think that's the best we've played that I've seen anyway this season.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Second half against Everton is probably the best we've played, and if we can find that again, we should be going there on Friday with a victory in mind. We should be beating them, I think.
Absolutely.
I think sometimes it's just those marginal gains, isn't it? We've seen under Bielsa that if we go ahead, if we score the first goal, then we're a very, very difficult team to play against because the game opens up. The opposition have to come at us. That leaves all kinds of space in behind, and that's what we can exploit really, really well. Whereas we've gone behind every single game so far. So I think it's the next 6 games, isn't it? They're against sort of fairly easy opposition.
God, yeah.
In terms of the
big
Premier
6
League.
games this year.
Got Watford at home, haven't we? That's a winnable game. West Ham at home, which is not necessarily a winnable game, but I think we can beat them at Ellen Road. There's some fixtures coming up that you'd like to think we can kick on a bit.
The next 6 are big games because they say after about 10 games that's when the table starts to take place, and after the next 6 we'll have played 10 games. We've got Watford, Newcastle, Southampton, I think.
Saints.
I can't remember the 6 off the top of my head, but just those 3 games they're winnable games. West Ham's a winnable game, but after 6 games we'll see where we're at, and if we're still struggling, then we might need to adjust our expectations for the season. But we're more than good enough to stay in the division. Although, what is making me slightly worried is that there isn't. I feel like last season, even from the early stages, no matter how bad you were, like if you went on a bad run, because all it takes is like a 5-6 game winless run to drop down the league in the Premier League. And last season, no matter what run you went on, it was always like Sheffield United, West Brom, Fulham. Like we're not going to finish below them because they were just so far adrift from anybody. There isn't sort of that safety like net this season because there isn't any. There isn't. Except probably Norwich. Yeah. Except Norwich, and you would expect sort of Newcastle to be down there again. Probably expect Brentford to be down there. No disrespect to them, they've started really well, but I question their depth in the squad. So, no need for a meltdown yet.
No,
but if we don't start picking up points, obviously it will start getting a bit nervy.
The meltdown started after the first game of the season, mate.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
Not the ideal first fixture.
In the summer, it was before that.
The meltdown started when we didn't sign a midfielder.
We didn't sign a midfielder, exactly. But I think 3 or 4 wins in the next 6. I know that's quite a lot when we haven't got any kind of form yet. But that would ease the pressure. I think we need that because going into December, there's a lot of tough fixtures.
It's about
in
perspective, like Paul's just pointed out in the comments as well. It's about perspective. Jesus, perspective.
Everyone's been drinking this morning.
Yeah, it's about perspective. We've played 4 games. We've played 3 of the current top 4, as Paul says. 2, like I said, right off fixtures. And a couple of good performances in there as well. We did well to come back against Burnley. We did well to come back against Everton. Like Rob says, I agree. That's the best we've played so far, that second half against Everton. So, yeah, bit of perspective, bit of calmness, and look ahead to these. Well, firstly, look ahead to Newcastle and then the next 6 as well.
Okay, last few comments then. Bandy says, Pascal and Rente. Pascal became a man at the King Power last season. Did he? I'm glad we didn't see that.
His cock wasn't injured.
Oh my God! It's time to end it. It's time to end the stream. It's not getting better than that. It's not getting better than that.
And as Matty pointed out, Paul said, perspective. We've played 3 of the top 4, 3 points on Friday. Mandy says we can compete against anybody. I don't want to hear anything else. All our games are winnable, and don't forget that. And
yes, Bandy.
Yeah, that's the point we leave on. So thank you very much for joining us. My name's Adonis, and you know me as @the on Twitter. It's a very good bye from me. And joining us was the incredibly juicy Rob @Juicy
Thank
Rob.
you very much. Thanks for having me, and thank you everyone for joining in and commenting and stuff. Appreciate it.
And on Twitter, he is @LUFC Academy News and @Matty Ingham 17.
Yes, that's right. Thanks for having me. Apologies for my Wi-Fi. If there's any Wi-Fi sponsors down there in the comments, please let me know.
Right. Donate generously to Matty's Wi-Fi, and you'll need to send it via post all the way to the moon, where he lives in a microwave. Okay. Thank you. We'll see you very soon. Thanks.